So you already know the flow, so I guess no one has to explain anything. Katie, being that you are the one who like set this up, do you want to do the introduction? You got to give us a cold open.
I have to?
Sure. Or I can complain about how I wanted to talk about this last week, and you did not let me.
You're welcome, listener.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I have so many opinions on this, and I think it's really healthy to like work through your feelings. This game gave me a lot of feelings, not all positive, and not just because the game's sad or whatever, but like there's creative choices in the game that I think the game would have been better if there were other creative choices made. And I wanted to work through all my feelings on the podcast, and so I can have like an adult, reasonable conversation when Josh came on, and Katie didn't let me do that. So I want to apologize beforehand in case I like have any. Also, there's context to this because on TikTok,
they don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, okay, so we're going to talk about Detroit Become Human. But on TikTok, I have had many of my takes like ratioed, and I will get way more comments being like, you have no idea what you're talking about than I do likes. So I think that's why I'm a little bit self-conscious about this. Anyways, okay, so that's a cold open. Katie, do you want to
yes.
Bring us into the actual episode?
Yes.
Hi.
Welcome. Hi. Welcome to Overthinking Games. This is a podcast about what video games can teach us. This week, we are joined by our special guest, Josh from Gamers Drink. Go ahead and say hi.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And
Josh, do you want to let's let Josh plug all his stuff. Tell him where people can find him.
Yeah,
before anything else.
Okay, yeah, Joshua from the Gamers Drink. I am the Gamers Drink. I am on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and also Twitch, though I have not officially started streaming regularly on Twitch. I do intend to, so happy to be here, you guys.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more with us and Josh, we recorded an episode about God of War a couple months back, so go check that out.
Awesome. Also joined by Dempsey, the man of the hot takes, and Seth as well, who also has some hot takes.
Today, actually, yeah, that's
yeah. And I don't know if I said my name. I'm Katie. Hi. So yeah, we are going to be talking about Detroit Become Human. This is going to be a full spoiler episode. So if you haven't played the game, go play it and then come back and join us after you've played it, because otherwise it will definitely ruin the experience for you. And it is a game that is worth experiencing, knowing as little as possible going into it. If you have played it and you have thoughts, send us an email. Our email is in the show notes, and we'd love to hear your take on Detroit Become Human or our conversation or any thoughts that you have. So
yeah, give us your review on Detroit Become Human.
Yeah. And you could also give us a review. We don't mind reviews if you want to give us a rating or a review on Spotify or an Apple podcast or wherever you find your podcasts. But before we get into Detroit Become Human, what have we been playing this week? You want to start us off, Josh?
Sure. I forgot to mention that what my channel is about, right? I forgot to talk about that. So I have a YouTube, not a YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel, but I do have a TikTok channel, and a YouTube channel and an Instagram channel, but mainly I'm on TikTok. And what I do is I pair video games with drinks, and it could be mocktails, cocktails, smoothies, whatever. So that's one of the things that I do. And I make like original mocktails and cocktails to pair with certain aspects of the game or the game's theme. So, and I have a lot of fun doing that. And I also do video game reviews as well as stream. I stream on TikTok as well, usually Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So speaking of streaming, the games, all right, so here we go, y'all. The games that I've been playing is Hollow Knight. I've been enjoying Hollow Knight a lot more now. I played it before. I didn't really, it was cool, but man, talk about a cozy Souls-like game. It's so beautiful. And I've also played a little bit of Elden Ring. As a matter of fact, I was on stream last night and I played Elden Ring because I wanted to beat Moog, because I wanted to be prepared for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. I'm really excited about that. And the game that I am falling in love with, y'all, is Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
Golly. I'm like, this it's almost it's getting better and better play. At first I couldn't get into it. I was like, I must have started Baldur's Gate 3 at least about 8 times. And I would look, it was crazy. Like I was like, how in the heck did this win Game of the Year? This is it's trash. It sucks. Like, and no, seriously. And I was I was looking on YouTube for like videos. I'm like, please help me. And all of the YouTube videos that I saw, it's almost like you needed another guide to help you to understand the YouTube videos because they're so complex. It's like,
Oh my
well,
gosh.
you got the dice and you roll it, and then you got to make sure you can't just level up. You need something else. And I'm just like, what the heck? But there was one YouTuber who was like, you know what? Just go ahead and start it. Don't worry about anything. Just, you'll figure it out along the way. And that's the best advice, that they had to offer. And I was like, cool. And then I did it. And it's just been smooth sailing ever since. And I've been having a ball with Baldur's Gate 3. So
Can I ask you a few questions about it?
sure.
So I've finished it twice, one with a co-op playthrough and then one on my own, and then I've started a couple other playthroughs. What character are you? What's your TAV? Like, what build are you going with?
So Paladin.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Me
good.
too.
Paladin. Yeah, I'm doing Paladin, but like I was streaming it and someone was like, so you're going to do I forgot the term for it. It's like you do a Paladin and a Sorcerer. And I'm like, I didn't know you could combine builds like that. It was like, oh yeah, if you do this, it'll be OP. And I'm just like, oh man, this is
Overwhelming.
it's so I was overwhelmed at first, but it's so rich. And I'm just like, and then the crazy part, I was playing that and I went back to Elden Ring. And I was like, as far as the complexity, like I thought Elden Ring was really complex and it was just, but I'm like, Elden Ring is just like really simple compared to Baldur's Gate. But the story, the characters, oh
Oh
my
man.
God.
Who
The
have you
things that
met
are
so far?
I've met
How far are you in?
Will.
Where are you?
I'm still in Act 1. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm in Act 1 and I have what's his name? Is it Hansel? No, it's not Hansel.
The
It's
druid?
the guy. I think he's a druid. So
Big
you
buff
go to
guy?
this grove. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I forgot his name though.
Yeah.
You
It's
go to this
Hanslin.
grove. Hanslin, yeah. So I got him. I've romanced. Oh my God, I can't remember the name. I know there's Shadowheart.
Mm-hmm.
There's Will. I met him. He's part of the party. Astorian is
Uh-huh.
part of the
Astarion.
party too. Yeah, Asterion. Is it Gale?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Gale's part of the party. And I don't know why I want to
Karlak?
say her name.
The big red one?
I got her. I just met her.
Karlak
so-
is my favorite. I love her. And I messed up my playthrough and I didn't get a thing she needed. So now I can't romance her until like second act and I was so mad. It's fine.
Oh, she is badass.
She
She's so
is, and
badass.
she's so happy.
Yeah, when I first met her, I'm like, oh yeah, we having fun now. But who's the one we meet? The person who's about to attack us on the ship. I forgot her name. Oh,
Liazel?
Lae'zel.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Liazel. Yeah.
Yeah, Lae'zel. So we were like, because I romanced her, like some people in the chat was calling her Bazel.
That's funny.
Funny.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's cool. Like I can, and then the funny thing about the game is that as I was playing it on stream, there were people who never saw those dialogue. Like things were happening during my
Oh, yeah.
playthrough, and
Yep.
they were like, man, we played this. I played this game 3 times, and I never
Yep.
experienced this dialogue. And I'm like,
Mhm.
holy crap!
I think that's going to be very relevant to our conversation today about Detroit Become Human as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's very fun. Like once you start getting past like level like 5, and you can start like synergizing your characters and having like this group of people who are really good at like one thing and like play off of each other. It feels a little like with Baldur's Gate, you can have like different abilities that really synergize
I'm
in
so bad
really,
at
really satisfying ways. It's fantastic. It makes combat
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That's cool. Awesome.
So
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. That's cool.
Katie, what have you been playing?
Well, let's see.
And
We
you can take a phone
recorded-
call, but you keep talking. I'm gonna cut this out.
We recorded 2 days ago, so nothing much has changed, except I'm gonna get a little personal here. I started taking a medication to help with my anxiety, and I've been taking it for about a week. And since then, I have been able to enjoy games in a way that I haven't since I was a kid, because my brain is so quiet now that I can just sit and play a story game and not be overwhelmed by, this is going to sound, maybe it sounds silly, but like be overwhelmed by the emotion of the story to the point that it's like I'm not enjoying it. I can just be part of it and just experience it and be okay. And it's been so much fun. I've just really been enjoying being able to be present when I'm playing games. So I was playing Burnout with my brother, and then which is like a racing game. I've been playing Cult of the Lamb, and I've been actually going to be getting back into Baldur's Gate as well, which I had put on pause because all of the story elements were just like too stressful. And now I'm like, hey, I think I could actually play that game and like get into it and spend some time with it. So, yeah, so that's been fun. And I've been reading a lot, which I haven't done in years. Reading things I haven't read before, whereas before I was like always reading the same things over and over again because it was like comfortable. So, it's like the whole world just feels like it's really opened up, and I'm just super excited about it. So, just people out there, if you're struggling with like mental health stuff, don't be afraid to talk to a doctor. Don't be afraid to get some help, because it doesn't have to be so hard. So it's pretty great. But that's pretty much it for me this week. That's been plenty. How about you, Seth?
A few different things here. Nothing too exciting for me. I was telling us last time we were recording back over on a Tuesday here that I had picked up a Doom Eternal on sale on the PS5. So been playing through some Doom Eternal, and I'm playing a little differently than how I usually play games. Like usually I tend to play games as a pretty heavy completionist, but Doom here I was like, man, I'm just here to like blast some demons. I'm just here for the metal music and the like chainsaw, like, and I was like, all right, so we're not gonna worry too much about like grabbing everything. It has been a lot of fun. I think I'm like getting close to the end of the game. The campaign is like not very long in that game. But for a game that was like $10, like I'm not bothered by having a shorter campaign or anything. So and let me tell you, I mean, not a hot take, but Doom Eternal, great game. It's it's pretty mindless. There's a little bit. I have a tiny complaint about the game, which is like as you get later into the game, they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna throw like every hard demon at you and just figure it out. And I'm like, I'm just hemorrhaging through my extra lives, like I'm just losing. So that's been the only like really annoying thing, but a lot of fun. I think I got like 1 or 2 more levels left before I finally like get everything finished up. So I'm excited to keep playing that.
I was shocked to find out that it was made by a member of the LDS religion, the predominant faith in my state. I thought that was interesting because demons and stuff, that really surprised me. I thought that was interesting.
I'm back. Yeah, Doom is a Christian game.
Trivia. What trivia fact?
What is LDS?
Mormons.
Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, I guess the backstory goes, and this is my understanding, is that like Doom was originally created by like a bunch of Mormon guys.
Yeah.
So I think it just falls in this like funny spot in the sort of like intersection of like gaming space and religious space, but story for a different day, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So did you play the first Doom, like the first remake, like I guess the prequel to not the prequel,
Doom 2016.
Yeah.
So I've played it a little bit. My like roommates in college had it. So like I had played through it a little bit at that time, but I never like fully played through the game. So that is actually the really funny thing about Doom Eternal is it just kind of it's just like an in situ sort of thing. Like it just kind of throws you in the middle of the story, which I think follows after Doom 2016. And they're just like, yeah, like you'll go kill some demons. You'll figure out everything that's happening. And I'm like, I'm some sentinel dude. I'm here to kill demons. I'm from some alien planet. I don't know. I got a shotgun and there's a demon on the other side of it. So who really cares?
Yeah, I think Doom Eternal added a lot, like some elements that to make it a little bit more fuller than the Doom 2016. I think Doom Eternal feels a little bit more arcadey too. Like it's more colorful, than Doom 2016.
Yeah, not a bad thing. Did Doom 2016 have the dash? Where you could just like...
That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't played in a while. I don't remember.
Because to me, I think like one of the genius things about Doom Eternal has just been... I mean, this is a game that's now like 4 years old. I'm not spitting any new information here, but just like the fact that they have so many movement mechanics in Doom Eternal is I think what really like fuels that game for me when I'm like, oh yeah, my shotgun now has a grappling hook. So I'm just gonna like grapple up to this demon and then like dash, grab like a thing, and I'm like, I jump over to some other area. Oh, my grappling hook's recharged. Mid-air grappling hook. I got an upgrade for the shotgun that now the grappling hook's on fire, so I'm just like flaming grappling hook. Like it's completely ridiculous. It's fantastic. I'm having a great time.
Are you ready for the Shadow of the Earth Tree DLC?
Yes. So that was going to be my next bit here. As of the time of recording this, Shadow of the Earth Tree DLC comes out about exactly 1 week and 4 hours. Not that anybody's counting, but I've been replaying some Elden Ring this week just to sort of get like my brain reacclimated into the Elden Ring scheme. I haven't really decided what character I want to start the DLC with. I think what I'm planning on doing is retaking my first Elden Ring character through the DLC, because I never took that character into New Game Plus. So it'd be a fun like way to just jump in with a character that I really enjoy. But I was also like, I've been playing this new character, I could hop in with them. I was thinking about doing like a challenge run where I see if I can take a fresh character without leveling it up or anything, use it to beat Moog to like set myself up for the DLC, and then I could kind of like start fresh in the DLC, which would be like a like weird way to do things, but I think it'd be like a fun way to experience it. So I gotta get some.
Do you have any speculation with what's going on? Like who's Mesmer? I think Mesmer is. This is not spoiling anything, but I think Mesmer is like Nicola. Like I think it's his alter. Like, yeah, I think they're both the same person.
Well, because we're about to everybody, we're diving into the deep Elden Ring lore. Because like Nicola already has like alternate identities in like Saint Trinia. I think my personal take is I think Mesmer is probably another Empyrean that has something to do with Radagon because of the red hair. Like who's the horse guy?
Radon.
Yeah, Radon also has the red hair. He's one of the childs of Radagon. So I think Mesmer, with that like matching red hair, seems to be some sort of like child of Radagon, but maybe is like a child of Radagon from the Elden Ring lore is so complicated because like maybe it's like a child that Radagon has with Marika, but is sort of also like banished, and that's why there's no like Mesmer lore in the game. But it's also, again, Elden Ring's a weird game. It's conceptually weird that these two characters could have a kid despite the fact that they're two different people that are in the same body. It's just,
like one of those frogs that can change its sex and fertilize its own eggs, right?
Sure. I don't know. Elden Ring's a weird game.
I've never played it that much, so I don't know.
It's the meme that's like, oh yeah, Elden Ring, and it just shows like a really old picture of a ring or something. I don't know. I've never played it before. That's Katie right now. But okay. So the long story short about what I've been playing is So I was playing some Elden Ring this week. I'm getting prepared for the DLC both mentally and physically. I was playing some Doom Eternal. I'm having a lot of fun with it. There's a few games that I feel like I need to get back into. I think I was telling you guys, I bought like a 6-month RuneScape account back in like March or something, and I've like yet to play. And I was like, oh, I have time over the summer, and I want to play over the summer. So anyway, that's about it for me. So Dempsey, what have you been playing this past week?
We recorded 2 days ago, so no video games. But I do want to talk about. I have been playing a tabletop role-playing game called Travelers, which is very fun. It has the most intense character creator I've ever experienced. It's kind of it's very D&D-esque in the fact that like it's whatever your DM wants to make of it. Like it can be really high stakes, it could be really low stakes, it could be very combat focused, it could be like a lot of narrative and not much combat. And yeah, it's very flexible in that way. There's a big online community for this tabletop role-playing game. I've never played it before. I moved to a new city, tried to make new friends through the tabletop role-playing community, and this is kind of the first group that it worked for me to fall in with. It's been really fun. My character is a YouTuber in space. I'm a marine biologist turned scientific educator. And I was homeschooled and raised by my parents in social isolation, and so now I want to go explore the stars. And anyways, so that's been
isolation.
Oh yeah, because you were you homeschooled?
I was homeschooled.
So you know what it's like. Yeah, that's
wow. Which one of us is having good social skills right now, Dempsey?
Yeah. And then so I've been playing a new table. It's my DM has also implemented some Blades in the Dark mechanics in his homebrew rules, which has been interesting. So that means there's some like slight time travel where you can choose that you did something in the past, even if you haven't said that you've done it yet, and then roll for how past you did. So that has been both a blessing and a curse, actually, because you can also do really poorly on things that you think are really reasonable. So that's been very fun. Anyways, not a video game, but there's that. And then also not a video game, but the theater that's close to my house did a screening of The Return of the King, the Lord of the Rings movie, which is the extended cut, which is a 4-hour long movie. So good.
That's so fun.
I love those movies so much, and seeing them in theater is such a joy to like see them in their grand, like they're very epic and big stories and have like a lot of very strong mythic iconography. And so to see that on a big screen, like with the good sound and everything, it is really different than like watching them as like a small comfort movie at my house, which I usually consider them like very gentle comfort movies. But when it's big, it's a completely different experience. So that's also been very good.
Josh, I think they're too young. They didn't see it in theaters.
I was thinking about that. I'm not gonna lie.
I would have been 5. I would have been 5 when it came out, because I was born in 1997 and it came out in 2002. Yep. So I would have been 5 when it came out.
Josh, that slow nod is so
they
funny.
Released in the theaters, and then I saw them again when they were all released, and my brother and I went and watched all of them in order and spent all day at the movie theater. It was so much fun.
I think it's kind of okay to not pay attention to the movie in screenings like this. Like there were people kind of having little conversations and checking their phones and things like that.
Long time to pay attention.
And it didn't bother me. Like I think like at that level, like a 4-hour movie that you've seen before, I think people should be chill about like eating snacks and talking to the person next to you. And it should be like the environment should not be like a new movie. Anyways. So that's that's been my experience. Also, I've been playing a lot of Balatro. Good game.
I love Balatro.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Cool. Well.
Wait, one more thing.
Oh, whoa, go. Okay.
So, David Weedy, whatever his name is. Wordy. Seth, go watch the trailer now. Go watch it.
What?
It's in the chat. Go watch the trailer.
I can't. I'm recording the screen.
Oh,
yeah, for real. Later.
Lame. So David Reedy, the creator of A Stanley Parable and The Beginner's Guide, just released their a trailer for their new game, and it looks so good. It looks
look good.
So it's like a cozy potion farm sim game, and then it has like
some existential dread,
some really bad existential dread.
It's something. It's something to it. Like when I was watching it, I actually got a TikTok that came across my feed, and there were some people who were calling it woke, and I was like, okay,
what?
Look at the trailer. Yeah. It was like that's how I heard about it, and then when I saw it, I'm like, there's nothing in here. I don't.
Well, what does woke even mean? It just means that we're thinking about people as whole entities instead of as fucking caricatures. Okay.
Exactly. It's like, and yeah, I was like, okay, this seems like a run of the mill, sim game. But then she talks, and it does go deep and a little bit dark, and I was like, oh, there's so much more than meets the eye with this one.
Yeah. I am.
No, I'm excited for this.
Like that for me, that was like as big as them announcing like a new AAA. Like that was. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this game. Anyways, yeah. I just want to talk about that a little bit. Now we can get on to Detroit Become Human.
When is it releasing though?
I don't know if it has a release date.
Was it called Wanderspot?
Wanderstop or something like that?
Wanderstop? Okay, we'll have to look that up later.
It looks good.
It does. It looks really good. Well, and you know that he's going to take our expectations and just completely subvert them and say something really meaningful. So that's no pressure, man, but it's gonna be good. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it looks totally different from the Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide. It's like,
yeah. The art looks really cute, so I'm always down for a cute art. So speaking of meaningful games with something to say, we all played Detroit Become Human, which is it's made by, who's it made by? Do you guys remember?
Quantic Dream.
Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
And they were the studio that made Heavy Rain several years back. And then this game is you play as 3 different AI, and the AI in this world are sentient, but they aren't treated as such. And so it's about, you kind of follow the 3 stories of these people in various situations. And it's got like decision trees. So when you make a choice, that changes everything going forward. And at the end of the level, you actually can see all of the branches, and you could see that there were branches that you didn't take. That doesn't tell you what the choices were, but you can see like, oh, holy crap, there was a lot that could have happened differently, even to the point of having a different end result. So, that's what we played. And now we're going to talk about it. So how do we want to start it off? Do we want to like just compare broad strokes, like who lived, who died, or?
Okay, I feel like we should let Josh talk first because Josh is the guest, so that makes the most sense.
Seems like me, actually.
Well, I wanted to, Dempsey, I wanted to kind of like let you just like.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I think a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to give some like really heavy criticisms to this game. So I want to say, first of all, I do think it is one of the most impressive and beautiful games ever made, and not in a shallow sense. I think that what it accomplishes narrative is really important. If you like video games in general, even if you don't like Telltale games or like choose your own adventure games, like even if the idea of playing one long quick time event sounds like a bad idea for a game, like genuinely actually give this a try. It is a really cool, important game that is like nothing else I've ever played in my life.
Also, this is your last chance to leave without spoilers.
Yeah. And I do think almost everything about it was made very thoughtfully and accomplishes something artistically. Okay, so having said that, I think it's wild to put in like an abusive. I do not think they should have put in an abusive, like a domestic violence in this game. Like I do not think that the caliber and nuance of this narrative, like it just left a really bad taste in my mouth. It was very strange. I think sci-fi can tackle a lot of like intimate and important topics. I just feel like domestic violence, it just felt very strange to see this through the view of a sci-fi lens. At the end of the game, you get a piece of information that does make that more palatable once you understand the whole story of Todd or whatever his name is. It does make a lot more sense. But
the fact that Alice is a
yes,
I mean, we're going full spoilers, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Alice is a robot.
Yeah, so you learn that his wife left him, took the kid.
Did you know that, Josh?
No, I didn't. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. You faked me out. Seth doesn't know.
Nope. News to me.
No. Seth let Alice die and then never learned anything about Alice.
Kara and Alice in the first scene.
We'll get when it's my turn. We'll talk about what
anyways,
happened.
Okay, sorry.
So I do think that learning that Alice is an AI and that Todd bought Alice with the intent to just to make himself feel like a better parent, that does make that story a lot more palatable. But that was not what that story was for the majority of it. The majority of it was he was just this abusive dad, and you played a robot that saved this kid from an abusive father. And I just felt like I felt like this game had a lot of camp and cheesiness to it. Katie's looking at me like I'm insane, but I do felt like it had a layer of like when I just thought it was kind of cheesy. A lot of the dialogue and the situations and things like that, I think it's good. But like, I think if you compare it to like even like the Hunger Games, I think the Hunger Games is like similarly like dystopian and like about the politics of a revolution and how revolutions affect like individual people. And I think like even the Hunger Games handled it with more nuance and thoughtfulness than Detroit Become Human. But and like so like when those protesters who were like, you take our jobs away, and then push them down and call them like a soda can or whatever, like like there's some camp there.
Isn't that though just like kind of demonstrate? See, I disagree. I just think that like they had to from as a storytelling device, they had to demonstrate the public's opinion of bots or AI from a personal level that we would be able to actually see it and understand it. And so I feel like that was a pretty effective way to immediately give us context for how people felt about the situation and that sort of thing.
I think it was efficient. I do think it was efficient. I do not think it felt realistic or nuanced. I think it felt very blatant and clumsy. And so, and I feel like that about a lot of the story. Okay. Also, the Terrys or the Tracys or whatever their names are.
Terrys.
Unbelievable. Terrys. Yeah, whatever.
Terrys.
Unbelievable waste of potential. It was such a lame scene. When like there's this zombie horde of Terrys that like control this amusement park, and they all Terrys. So there's a zombie horde of Terrys, and they control this amusement park. And like they have the capabilities to like do so much, and there's so many of them, and then they basically like start one ride, and then that's the scene. And like it could have been just one Tracy. What's his name?
Jerry. It's Jerry.
Jerry. It could have been just one Jerry. Like it did not have to be the zombie horde. And I think that really took away from the impact of like there's this whole park and they are purposelessness. Like and they are suffering from purposelessness. And then this child comes to like give them purpose even in their dysfunction, even in like their brokenness, they still have the ability to meet this child's needs. And they did it in the most anticlimactic, lame bullshit way possible. I thought that scene was so trash. And then you're supposed to feel something when the Terry gets like shot later. And I was like, good. They seem defective.
I didn't see the Terry get shot in my playthrough.
Jerry.
Oh,
Jerry, yeah, the Jerry, because they're all Jerrys, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I
all the
remember that.
Jerrys.
they're like a
Yeah.
hive mind. They're like a
Yeah,
hive
they
mind. And their purpose is to give families a good time. And I was
Mhm.
like, I'm so pumped. Like, are they going to like reopen the park? Are they going to like light half of it or like try to emulate what it's like to have a functional park and like you get to experience this? And I was so ready to have like a good wholesome moment. In The Last of Us Part 2, they do like this thing where you have a snowball fight with kids in the middle of a town. And like it's so gentle and it really in that context, it's actually kind of a similar context because it's like finding your purpose in the future, which is the very thing that these androids are struggling with is to find purpose now that their future is being under attack. And they did it technically, like they checked the box with this that's so lame of a way to do it, which was the thingy. Also, okay, so I just think that happened, like things like that happened a few times where like there was a theme there and there was something cool. This is how I feel about Cage, I think, as the writer director. I think he's a really good director and a very mediocre writer. I think his direction and how things felt, the set pieces were often so cool. Like when they were like doing the heist, I thought the heist was super cool in the building.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
So well directed. I'm so into that. And then when Kara and Alice cross the street and then Connor
highway.
follows them across the street, so tense. It was so scary. Like those set piece moments are incredible. Yeah, I just feel like the narrative wrapping is not as robust as the heights in which it wants to do. I also think it's real.
And also,
I love seeing Sony put so much production value into really mundane things, and I want more of that. So like Quantic, so like this game looked beautiful, and just to see like a house with a bookshelf and that much like Sony money and detail put in domestic spaces, it was so cool because I know like. And like God of War, I love God of War, but like I don't know what a dragon looks like. I don't know what Midgard actually looks like. Like it's a lot, like there's a lot of art liberties and it looks cool and it's very expressive and things like that. But like I do know what a bookshelf and a hallway and a chair and an office looks like. And so to like feel that tangibility in this digital world, it's so impressive. And it like there's so much detail and care in each and every one of these settings, and the world really feels alive. Like a lot of because just how like meticulously does like when you go into that like the androids are like often have like really run down houses or like when they're defective they'll like get obsessed and hoard or whatever, and like it felt gross and dirty in a way that I've never experienced a game made me like give me such a visceral sense before. So and like as a sensory experience, second to none, genuinely. Anyways, so that's my feelings. I think narratively it reached too far. I dealt with some themes that made me uncomfortable to be dealt in this way. The rest of it was really beautiful.
See, I really disagree in that I feel like with the narrative, like it had me hook, line, and sinker. All of the parts with Kara, like so, and Seth, you ran into this like when you are told as Kara not to move. I thought it was really interesting because like following directions in a game is what we do as players, right? And it's also what we do as androids, apparently. And I thought that it took me so long to move. I was like, said, don't move. Can I move? Is she going to move? Should I move? What's going on? And then I finally was like, oh my God, he's going to kill her. And I was pushed by that to make myself move. And that unlocked, the whole rest of her story. And I went up the stairs and I was like, I found the gun in the bedroom, and I was like, should I get the gun? Should I go to Alice? Should I get the gun? Should I go to Alice? And I was so frozen with indecision that I ended up, the dad guy, Todd, actually walked past me in the hallway and was between me and Alice. And I was like, oh shit, he's going to kill Alice. So then I grabbed the gun and I had to run after, because I was like, I waited too long. I didn't make a decision fast enough. And like the pressure that I felt the whole way through that section, I was so engrossed and so like in it. It felt like visceral. It didn't feel campy to me at all. Like, and then like for me in my story, my playthrough, I accidentally shot Todd and we escaped and we were wanted murderers. So
how did you learn that Alice was a robot? Because Todd told me that.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I met Todd later at the bus stop.
I found out in Marcus's what's the place called?
Yeah. I don't know I know what you're talking about. Like
the ship place, the safe haven or whatever. That's where I found out. And then
me too.
And then, oh man, I made bad choices there that made me sad later. But yeah, the beginning section there was so intense to me that it immediately
Jericho.
It rooted me into the game. What, Seth?
Jericho. It's the name of the place.
Jericho. Thank you. Yeah, Jericho. But Seth, you had a really different experience with that section of the game.
Yes. And to preface, so like I'm a big sci-fi fan, and I was reading a lot of like stuff about androids recently too, and sort of inspired by like I think a lot of what's going on with like generative AI and sort of like large language models. My thought going into Detroit Become Human was, okay, I'm going to have two fundamental principles that I do with the androids. And one is that they are fundamentally uncurious, which is very different from like how I explore games. I'm very much like, oh, let me like check every hallway. I want to like figure out every interaction. I took the androids to be very like, if I'm given an instruction, I execute that instruction like as literally as possible and like as straightforward as possible, which influenced a lot of things. Like I've played through a little bit of the start of Detroit before, so I knew there was a gun in that scene with like Alice and Kara. I knew there was a gun in that scene, but I never found it as a character because I cleaned downstairs. I went upstairs. I cleaned exactly what it had me clean. And the game like frames it as like Alice like clearly like indicates that there's something in the box. I'm like, it's not my box. I'm not going to open it. Play the character fundamentally uncurious. And then the second thing was characters only follow directions. The androids only follow directions to the best of their ability. So in that scene, when Todd tells Kara, stay there, don't move, I didn't move. There's sounds going on upstairs. I, as a character, am fundamentally uncurious about what's happening upstairs, and I have to follow the direction as it was given to me.
That is insane.
So I just sat there, and I listened to Alice die upstairs, and then what happens is the game prompts you to walk upstairs, and then when you walk upstairs, you get this scene of like Todd holding on to like carrying Alice's body and being like, she did this to me. And then he like puts her in bed and is like, no, this is your fault. You did this to me. And you get this like scene of like Todd charging you. And then that was it. I never got another scene with Alice and Kara. Nope. It did not give me the option. That was the end of that storyline. So I only ever played 2 missions with them, and then
you missed like a third of the game.
Yeah, they did not appear like as characters in the entire rest of the game. So, but it ended up being like a very interesting experience going throughout the game, because a lot of times in the game, like you get given very specific instructions about like what to do and where to go. So like Connor often was interesting.
Leave Connor in the car?
Well, no, because Connor eventually is like, I should get out of the car. Like, sometimes the game has to, like, narratively push itself forward. But I would run into this scenario, like, with Connor and Hank, the relationship just, like, went downhill. Just consistently. Because Hank all the time is, like, has no interest in building this relationship with Connor, and Connor is focused on his mission. That's, like, the number one instructional priority he's received, is that. So their relationship just went down and down and down and down over time. And it was just, I was unable to recover it.
Did Hank shoot you in the head?
Hank shot me in the head.
Yeah.
Hank killed himself.
Oh my God. That did not happen to me.
Yeah, at the end of the game, so there's this one scene where, like, Connor goes back and he visits Hank towards the end of the game, and Hank is just, like, drunk in his house, like, at his table. And I think there's, like, twice this happens. One of the time, like, Hank is passed out on the ground. This second time, Hank, he resigned as a police officer, and he's just at home. And Connor and Hank have this scene where, like, Connor comes in. Hank is essentially, like, not interested in talking. Connor's, like, trying to rebuild the relationship. It doesn't work out. Connor walks out of the house, gets onto the sidewalk, and he hears a gunshot from inside Hank's house. And then he's just, like, stops for a second and then just, like, walks to his car. So it was interesting, like, setting up this situation for myself where I'm like, my characters have, like, very specific beliefs and points of views that they are sticking to, but then, like, living with the consequences of that, which just ends up with, like, Connor being unable to complete his mission. In the end, every step that he took, he ran into issues because my perception is he's receiving too many commands from different areas and is unable to, like, properly follow all the directions given to him. Marcus was an interesting character. Sorry, I do want to let some commentary in here. I just want to hit all my beats. Marcus was an interesting character because my perception of him was the last instruction that he received from the old guy is Carl, right? The last instruction that he received from the old guy was two things. One, you have to choose who you are for yourself, which is what I had, like, Marcus battle with throughout the series. And second thing was, don't defend yourself. Because when when the son is, like, trying to fight with Marcus, Carl says, don't defend yourself. And that's one of the last instructions that Marcus receives. So I played through the whole story being like, the last instruction Marcus got was, don't defend yourself. So he's not allowed to take any action in direct defense of himself. So I played him as very pacifistic throughout the story until the raid on Jericho, where, like, the lady who doesn't have the back of her head tells Marcus...
There's a raid on Jericho? That didn't happen in mine.
Yeah, the FBI, like, raids Jericho.
Yeah, and then they sink it.
Yeah, they sink it.
That didn't happen in mine.
But
didn't happen in mine either.
I got this scene where, like, the lady during the mid-raid, she's like, Marcus, you have to protect your people. And that was my switch of mentality for Marcus being like, my instruction is no longer don't defend yourself. My instruction is you have to protect your people. And then I had Marcus go on the sort of, like, okay, we're taking this up a notch and we're taking the violent means of this because that's how I think I can best protect my people. Which led to, like, a whole robot uprising, yada, yada, yada. Android uprising. Sorry, there was a lot.
That did happen. Yeah, that happened in my playthrough. Because I do remember that, and there were some really close calls that you had to, do the QuickTime events for. I do remember that. Yeah.
The QuickTime events drove me crazy towards the end of the game. There's this, like, fast...
That's the whole game.
Yeah, but, like, there's this fast fight scene, especially, like, I feel like towards the end of the game where you have these, like, really snappy QuickTime events. And I know there was at least, like, one or two things that I failed just because it's like W, S, S, D, A, W, S, W, W. And I'm like, my brain can't, like, read the thing on the screen and then process it into finger presses, like, fast enough to, like, to do the things. So it's like W, and I'm like, okay, that's my index finger. And then it's like D, and I'm like, is that my ring finger or my index finger? And, like, I failed some stuff at the end of the game because of that. But overall, like, I had fun as a game experience. I thought there was, like, a lot of really interesting, like themes that were happening that they were trying to push, especially about like slavery is I think like the most obvious one, and like free will and independence. I got a lot of from like the android movement. But also I felt like Marcus turns into a really interesting character. There's this one where he's like leading a march through the city, and he is literally like waving over to androids that are just on the side of the road as they like join in on the march. And I'm like,
Android Jesus.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
did this
he
guy
does.
suddenly turn into like cyber android Jesus as he literally like waves at androids
Yeah.
and they like overwrite their protocols to join him? Which is a cool scene.
Yeah.
I mean, Dempsey, you
cool.
sort of talked about the spectacle of it. It seemed like a very like cool directed scene, especially with like the camera angles. But yeah, I mean, it was fundamentally an interesting game. I don't know how I feel about it like long term. I definitely want to do another playthrough that's like a little more sensible, also so that I can just like experience the Kara Alice storyline.
Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot there. Josh, what was your take, or how did your playthrough go?
Yeah, at first, I've played Quantic Dreams, like I played Insomnia. That was like their first game. I think it came out on like PlayStation 2, right?
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of their first games. And then I played what was the other one where the guy lost his son?
The Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain, yeah.
Sean.
But I haven't played Beyond Two Souls.
Still remember
I
chopping off my own finger in Heavy Rain. That was awful.
Yeah, Heavy Rain was crazy. So I was actually on TikTok and I was looking through, scrolling, and I seen somebody play Detroit Become Human, and they were just like, very engaged, and just like jaw-dropping moments happened. I was like, all right, that's the next game that I'm going to stream. And I did. And so I think my experience was a little bit different because I played it on stream where I had some people kind of help me to make decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was because, I told the chat, I was like, hey, I want to try to keep everybody alive as much as possible. And, but at the same time, there were those moments when I had to make a split second decision, and I just couldn't look at the chat, right? But the one thing, so Seth, I'm glad that you had shared your perspective on like, hey, it's a robot, so I gotta act like a robot, right? The thing that did it for me, because I kind of was thinking the same thing, like, this is AI, like what do I care about it, right? And then you have the opening scene where you have this hostage situation, and there's these prompts, and I'm like, okay, so that's pretty, like, I guess that's how AI is supposed to be. But the emotion that the I forgot his name, the person who
Hunter?
had the girl.
Oh.
Yeah, he was, he's like, they don't care about us. And I'm like, that's something to that. But what really drove it home to me, to make me play it as if I wanted them to be human, right, was the domestic part. I think, Dempsey, that you were talking about with the girl, with Alice and the father. Because I was really emotional because I have a daughter. And to see that was like really, just really, fueled a flame in me. Where I was just like, okay, this isn't right. And then they were taking it like far, right? And I was just like, how far are they going to go with this, right? So in that moment when he told me to stay here, I was like, no way, I am going up there. Yeah, like I was streaming, and I was just like, oh man, I had to pause for a second because it really kind of it really moved me in a way. So yeah, I think that I appreciate how the stories weren't the same. I love the variety and the direction of the stories. So it's not like, you have a very intimate, you have someone, these intimate storylines between like Alice and Kara, but then you have this cop situation with Connor, and then this like, revolutionary Martin Luther King figure with Marcus. And I like how a lot of that played out, and then towards the end it kind of gets interwoven. somehow with one another, and it was
Yeah.
just like, oh man, I really liked it. I had it was one of my top 5 favorite video games that I played last year. Um, and to your point, Dempsey, I do like, yeah, there's a lot of spectacle, but and there was some things that were, corny, but it was just like, I don't know. I think I forgave them because the story was just so much smoother, and things just made a lot more sense than previous games that they released. And I was like, they're doing it right this time, versus the games that I played previously, which some of them didn't really have. They really didn't. Some things just didn't make any sense, right? So yeah, I really really enjoyed the game. I thought that you know the, I guess the pros outweigh the cons. I didn't really see as much fault in it as you did, Dempsey.
Yeah, I agree. I think
I
the part.
Go,
Sorry,
Katie.
go ahead. Oh, I think the parts that you could that could kind of have fault found, I could understand what the purpose was for the sort of necessity for the story, and was able to kind of move past that without I wasn't too critical of that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just really interesting the way the 3 stories kind of encapsulated different story structure almost as well. I feel like Kara's story was like that hero's journey where she's the only one that can save Alice, and she's the only one that can do all of the things that have to be done, and so it's that kind of solo hero. And then you've got Marcus's story, which is sort of like the heroine's journey with that just textbook fall from grace. He was happy with Carl. He had a lovely life. He didn't know how good he had it. And then it was all ripped away. And you even see him coming out of the underworld when he's in the junkyard. These beats, beat for beat, the heroine's journey, which I just thought was super cool. Where he builds community, and he has to bring people to his cause, and he has to have people to help him in order to achieve his goals. I thought it was super well done in that way, and the way that the 2 stories were obviously the goals were similar. They're both looking for freedom and safety and independence and identity, but the arcs that they have to take were so different, which I thought was a really interesting way to take it, just from structure of storytelling. And then Connor, I got Connor killed.
Yeah, he's immortal though. He's fine.
He died 4 times in my game.
No, he got permanently shut down because I didn't want him to. I was so incompetent. So I realized I am a click on every button, read every text, check every corner. And so when I found the guy gets killed in his house. Did you guys have that part? The guy gets killed in his house, and then he finds the bot, or the android, was actually hiding in the attic.
Yeah.
And I accidentally found him. And then we took him back to interrogation, right? And I was like,
oh, that was such a good scene.
I was like, oh shit, no, I don't want to interrogate this guy. I don't want to find out that he did it. I want to help him get away with it, because it's not right what was happening to him. But it was too late, and I couldn't fix it. And he ended up, I think that my android actually ended up killing himself. And I was so gutted by that. I was so upset by that going forward for the rest of the game, I purposefully missed clues and didn't investigate thoroughly, to the point that I got shut down for incompetence.
Sick.
And I was so upset. And I was like, how far back do I have to go to fix this? And I was like, I don't know. When was the quintessential choice? Which choice was it that led to my eventual shutdown? Because I had a good relationship with Hank. I was moving in the right direction, and I didn't I chased Kara across the freeway, things like that. But then I stopped because Hank told me to. And I was like, okay,
Gotcha.
I'm not going to chase her, you know, and that built our relationship. And so I was kind of playing it to make Hank like me and also to not catch Marcus, because I thought if I follow the clues, if I catch the guy with the heist, you know, and the guy gets left behind. Did that happen for you guys? I was like, if I catch
Yeah.
the guy, I'm going to force him to tell me where Jericho is, and I can't do that.
Oh no, my guy got away.
Oh no, my guy got shot.
My guy got shot and hurt and hid. Your guy got shot and died?
Yeah, I feel like in my playthrough, everybody died. I mean, Marcus was alive at the end of my story.
That's
and
better than mine.
North was alive at the end of my story, but the
North
other
is
two
alive.
people weren't.
I got North killed.
What?
Who was North?
North
So
was
Marcus's
Marcus's
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
So those are my only two people from
Their true love is
Marcus's.
the reason why we had a peaceful transition of like,
I had a violent
Oh my
transition
God.
of power.
yeah,
and then-
revolution.
Kara and Alice died, and then like Hank died. Connor dies because he got in a fight with Marcus at the end of the story. So I think of like all of the major and minor characters in my story. I think like 2 are alive at the end.
Who lived for you, Josh?
So everybody lived except for Alice.
Oh no, did she die from the water?
Yep. Her
That's what
and
happened to me too.
yeah,
And the guy,
her,
the big guy.
the big guy, yeah.
Yep, that
Yeah,
happened
she-
to me too. Oh, I was gutted. I was so upset.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, I was in denial. I was like, nah, this something's wrong
I was
about
like,
this. We
everything we did, it was for
Man.
nothing.
right. We made it. I'm like, we made it. Like she should be alive, but no.
And then I was like, I started thinking about it. I wrote notes afterwards. I said, when Marcus had total success with the revolution and Alice died in Canada, I really regretted my choices. I tried to think like, what could I have done differently? Should I have stayed in Marcus's camp like when we went there? Because they were successful. So if they had stayed, they would have become free. Is that what would have happened? But like, I didn't know if Marcus was going to be successful. Kara didn't know if Marcus was going to be successful. And
Yeah.
she had to do, like, I took on as the role of Kara, like, I don't have kids yet, but I do have like a very strong, like, maternal sort of instinct. And I was like, I am protecting this kid no matter what. Nobody else matters. I am going to save this child. And then I didn't. Oh,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
upset.
And that's how I felt, because I was like, like I was saying earlier, it's like that was the thing that drove me to protect her. It was like, I have a daughter, and they're like, no, I can't let anything happen. But I think
No.
part of me thinks the reason why she died was because like the FBI, or there was like a boat patrol
Yes.
that came, and
Yeah.
they shot. I think they shot the big guy.
That's
and
what
I think
happened in mine.
Yeah, and I think because there was a QuickTime event that I didn't press fast enough, and I'm like, maybe if I pressed it, or if I pressed
Like
it,
when they
then,
shoot after he gets shot, then they shoot again.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a QuickTime event that if I pressed it, maybe he would have been alive and been able to, assist, and
Yeah.
she would have lived.
Mhm.
But I'm
Yep.
curious to know that, to your point, I'm thinking of like maybe there was a trade-off like built within a game. Maybe somebody had to die in order for her to live. So
Mhm.
I don't know if there's an ending where everybody lives, but potentially, I don't know. Yeah.
There was a couple. Did you guys ever retry any sections, like because you weren't happy with the outcome?
Absolutely.
Oh.
I did.
Which section did you do?
Let me see I can't remember. I'm trying to think which one did I redo. Oh, I think at the beginning, like I didn't want that the android to kill the girl
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. So I redid that. It was a couple of them that I redone. I just can't remember because last time I played
It was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like November, and I intended to replay it leading up to this, and I was just like, golly, I just didn't have time. But
That's
it's cool.
fine.
Yeah.
So, do you think that this game would be celebrated if it came out now because of the much harsher attitude that we have towards AI now?
Do you
'Cause I
think
know,
we
like-
have a harsher attitude towards AI?
I was going to say that too.
So, as someone who works in a creative industry, creatives hate AI. Like it's really a dirty word. And companies like Adobe and like creative software companies have to really tiptoe around AI. And there's movements like to poison AIs. So you can, if you're in Adobe, you can, there's a program called Nightshade, which poisons all your pictures to where AI thinks it's something else, and it ruins AI training data. Also the writing community, like the SAG-AFTRA strike was a lot about regulating and being anti-AI and things like that. And so I think this game is a product of a time when we were a lot more optimistic about technology. And I think that if it came out now, people would be a lot less sympathetic to the AI, simply because, and I felt that a little bit as well. Like I understand the point of this game, but I definitely felt like, well, fundamentally AI are never going to be human. And even if they pass the Turing test, it's still like my philosophical position as a creator that an AI can never have a human experience. And that's there's a lot of pushback on like DALL-E and different generative AI things. Even like within like game developing spaces, there's a lot of pushback on like a lot of game jams ban AI code and AI art. There's been a lot of backlash to companies using AI. Marvel had to clarify and apologize for using AI. Hasbro got in trouble for using AI in a D&D book and things like that, and for the art or whatever. Anyways, but also I am in like very specific insular spaces online, specifically around like with other creative professionals. And so maybe that's not the general feeling about AI. Maybe people are just as positive as they were in 2018. I don't know.
I think that I think it depends on the space. I think that I think we're coming to maybe a divide in the use of AI, because I see some people who are like, man, we're so glad to use it. I know a lot of teachers and professors who have, they're really hating AI because students are using it like crazy, and also defending the papers that they write, as absurd as these papers may be. But then you have some people who are like, this can make things a whole lot better for production, and things of that nature. I think that this game, at least what it did for me, and I guess, it all depends on, it's subjective, right? But what it did for me was I didn't really think too much about the AI aspect. Like, I thought about like the human aspect of what, this scenario, like what this is doing, right? So just
the
a little
sentience of it.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background, and this is why I say it all depends on where you're coming from. When I was in college, when I graduated high school, when I was in college, I majored in acting, right? And so my lens is a little bit different when I'm seeing or playing games or watching movies. I'm really thinking about like how does this relate? How does this connect? And even the writing and stuff like that. So for me, it's like, we've learned that acting is truth in imaginary circumstances. And I think that the video game did a really good job with making these sentient beings as human, like to kind of tug on human heartstrings. And so for me, it was like, I'm playing this game. I didn't really think about the advancement of AI and robots and,
Sure.
the things that they did. Another thing too, real quick, is I worked for an organization. It was a nonprofit organization that tried to get young people in communities that were impacted by, high crime and low resources, trying to get them into manufacturing jobs, right? Because a lot of people don't know that, there are tens of thousands of manufacturing vacancies, right? From small manufacturing companies on up. And there was discussion about like robotics and how that'll replace people who are on the line assembling these parts. But what they were saying too was that, like, well, the thing is that if you do have a robot that helps to assemble parts, somebody needs to fix the robot and somebody needs to create the robot. So it's not like the robots are creating robots. So the evolution of, the thing that I think most people are concerned with, or rather not the evolution, but what most people I talk to are concerned with is like, robots will replace our jobs, AI will replace our jobs. But I don't know. I think with the background that I have to think about, like, this game and this scenario, I don't even
Sure.
like. I was playing and I was like, I don't know if that would ever happen, right?
Sure,
But,
sure.
yeah.
I do think like I understand the concerns regarding especially art and writing and creative endeavors. I do kind of feel like because AI is so newly widely available to people, there's that element of novelty where people are just kind of playing around with it, seeing what they can do with it, just on a general level. And then, of course, corporations and capitalism and all the things, they're trying to find a cheaper way to do it. But I think what's going to happen with that is it's going to kind of get to a point where we start to recognize, like, actually, the AI can't write a story that is equal to a human written story. The AI can't create art that is equal to human created art, and I think it's gonna, and this is just, I have no evidence or research or anything, this is just my take, but I think it's going to circle back around to valuing that human input.
Sure.
But I do think that this exploration is probably going to have to happen for quite a while first. But to your point, Josh, like that the way that I kind of interacted with the AI aspect of it was similar in that I just saw more the human side and what makes a person, and that's something that I think about a lot. Like I played not all of, but I played a good portion of a game called Soma, which is really thinking about what makes a person a person. Murderbot Diaries is one of my favorite series, and it's all about like this AI, this android human construct is a person, and people have dehumanized it because it's made of bot parts as well. And so I think like the bigger theme is more about like not just androids, not just technology, just like the way that marginalized people are dehumanized and the way that they can take back or achieve recognition in society for like personhood and freedom, which I think they did a really good job with.
Yeah.
Josh, I also wanted to, we're running late here, but whatever.
Well, let's run late. It's fine.
Yeah, let's run late. See, and the funny thing about this conversation is like, with my take on like how I was treating the androids, one of the fundamental things, especially from how I was playing Connor and his point of view, is that androids are androids. They're not people. And that was one of the main driving parts of how I played sort of both Marcus and Connor. Marcus less so, but especially Connor, is that like androids are androids and people are people. And a lot of what developed in Connor's story for me was Connor being like, oh no, that's just an android is emulating human feelings. And
sure.
So especially as I sort of like progressed through Marcus's storyline specifically, where, they go on this like march where they're trying to define what the identity looks like for an android. And one of the chants they use is like, we are alive. And I sort of wrestled with that playing through the story, being like, okay, maybe you are alive and conscious, but that still doesn't mean you're a person. Which I think is like fundamentally different ideas, especially for how I was playing it in the story. And it was a weird sort of experience to play through, to play with this, to be playing a character who is very much like, I am alive, I deserve equal rights. And then playing this other character, Connor, who's very much like, no, it's just a robot emulating human experience and human feelings. Whereas I, in the background, am sort of playing with the fundamental belief that like androids are uncurious, they follow directions, they're robots, not people. So I'm sort of like playing Marcus as this, almost as like a hypocrite. Like he thinks he is alive and like a person, but like I, as the sort of the man behind the curtain here dictating the story, have decided that like robots aren't actually alive and that they are just emulating human experiences. And it's like why I ran my androids the way that I was. I got to deal with this like very weird like cognitive dissonance that I created for myself within the narrative. But it made Marcus more interesting of a character to me. Like, you've got this android who is very convinced that like he is alive, and that like he is human, and I in the background as the man behind the screen, I'm like, no, you're not. But I'm gonna allow you as the character to like play that out as your story. And it's cool that like a game lets you do that. And like it fully facilitates both me behind the screen being able to make those decisions, but also like the character in the story being able to make their own set of decisions. It's a whole super weird experience.
So
I'll be right back.
I do
move my car.
No, you're fine. I do have opinions about like the humanness of the characters, and and I think and I know I think both of you might disagree with me. I think that was something that maybe because of my relationship with like the idea of AI, maybe I already came in very skeptical of this story.
So
because of
implicit bias already.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe I have implicit bias, but
And
I
I
do.
was in the opposite direction where I'm like, what makes people people? I'm very like, I think
It's
I'm already
it's
leaning that way.
it's borderline like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Mhm.
So, but what it did make me think of is a book that I listened to recently called A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. And
Great
I
book.
think, so Katie will know what I'm talking about. And because I know she's read this book. So A Closed and Common Orbit is also about AI sentience, but it's fundamentally different from human sentience. And the experience of being a computer is not it's not a metaphor for the human condition. Nothing about in Becky Chambers' writing, nothing about the aliens or the aliens or the robots are meant to be a metaphor for humans. They're a point of contrast to which that we can understand humanity. And so
I'm sorry, I'll let you finish and then I have thoughts. Go ahead.
So I think personally it would have been a stronger script if they were less human. Whether they deserve that, but I do not think that affects whether they deserve equal rights or are sapient. I think that they could still be living beings, potentially with like whatever spiritual things that living beings are endowed with, or have a subjective experience that deserves dignity, but still be fundamentally different from humans. And I was kind of disappointed how close to humans they were. And I think like Becky Chambers does that really well. A sci-fi author, well, she will have characters that are so fundamentally separate from humans, and no human being lives like these characters or has these emotions, but they're still worthy of dignity and agency.
So
and so
I think I'm sorry, I jumped on you again.
No,
I think
go,
think
Katie.
the difference is, I think when I'm thinking about it, I'm not thinking, oh, they are human. No, they're not human, but they are people. And that personhood is what needs to be respected and what they're trying to get the point across. And it's that like you said, that being deserving of, or not even deserving, but like they should have rights and dignity and autonomy.
So
because the personhood is what comes with that self-awareness and that sentience.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
When Marcus goes around lighting fires, that's a very human thing to do. And I think it's kind of dumb that was meaningful for the robots, because they would have other needs that they want catered to. Like, Alice is cold because she has sensors, and then to fix that, Kara just turns off her sensors. So like this idea that Marcus, so like obviously it's a metaphor or whatever, that Marcus is going around lighting these bonfires, and that's something you would do for humans. And it feels so like blatant and weird that the robots are also becoming more optimistic because when you light the trash cans on fire, they come around and like it's warmer or whatever. And I think that he should have built community in ways that were specific to the needs of the androids and not just a reflection of what human beings would need in that instance, because they're not humans. They do not have the same needs that humans do. But I thought he should have been bringing car batteries.
That was the point of like Connor's story for me, and like Connor's point of view about things is that like they are literally like robots emulating human emotion and like human needs and experiences. So, but to the point of Dempsey, I would agree with you. I think it would have been like a more interesting take on it to have gone like, hey, let's treat these as like sentient, but like in their own way. And then like we're arguing for like the invention of something new.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
Go ahead, Katie.
Well, I just think that like obviously like the way that you played Connor, I'm wondering if you got to see any of the character growth that he does have where he's breaking through that. Yes.
No, I intentionally played him against that.
Yeah. So he like the whole point is like they start out with this programming, right? But then as they have experiences and as the world impacts them and they interact with the world, their awareness grows. And they have a moment where they have to, I mean, all of our characters had a moment where they had to choose to break through their programming and their directives to embrace their own personhood. And so with Connor, like the more you go, the more you see he doesn't think that the robots are emulating human emotions. He is having emotions. He is having his own free will. Nope. And so I think that kind of like, I mean, obviously, any person, like anybody can stay in their lane and not have growth and not ever expand beyond what they already know.
Yeah, he's a robot.
And that's what happened. Well, people do that too. Plenty of people do that.
I'm sorry. So there's this article. The way I look this, so there's this reading. I highly recommend it. It's called. It's by Bobby Harrell. It's called The Cycle of Socialization. It's called The Cycle of Socialization, and then there's another essay that she wrote. I don't know. It might be. I don't know if it's a woman or man or they. I don't know what their pronouns are. But there's another one that's called Cycle of Liberation. So what it is that, and I think that this is where the writer and directors were going. The cycle of socialization is like, we're kind of born into these rules that are already created for us, right? And those rules and these norms and stuff like that are reinforced through institutions such as schools, church, family, television, and that type of stuff, leads to like oppression, right? Mm-hmm. But then the cycle of liberation is almost like, what these robots are going through, where it's just like, okay, we know that the way we've been constructed, or there's something that happens where it questions. The robots question the way that they've been constructed in these rules. And so there's this moment where they break through, and that breakthrough leads to liberation. And I get what you guys are saying. It's just like, but they're robots. Like what? How is it so complex? But at the same time, I mean, I guess I was thinking about like, what story does the storyteller want to tell? And I leaned into that. And it was just like, okay, the robots, this could be AI propaganda, but let me just, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Let me go ahead and just see this the way that you all want to tell it. And I'm glad that I did, because it's like, oh, you guys are really magnifying some of the fault of human beings, right, when it comes to people who look or are considered as other. And Absolutely. you're magnifying how human beings, this is what I took away from it, you're magnifying how human beings are socially constructed to think about like, oh, and this is nothing against YouTube, right? But
No,
in the game,
I'm
it's
being
like,
cheeky.
okay,
Yeah.
you, you're socially constructed to be like they're just robots, you know. On another side, in life, it's like, oh, they're, and I'm not saying this is the way you all think at all, but some, you know, the oppression is just like, oh, they're not human, they're black, right, or LGBTQ, or you know what I mean, like these social constructs, right? And I think that's what to me that's what the game was really magnifying and illuminating in that aspect. Yeah.
I want to clarify before I get slaughtered on social media. I'm totally, Josh, I'm totally on board with you. I think the game does a very great job of that, and it was one of the themes I saw through like Marcus's story. Is it's very obvious this like liberation story, this like justice story for these like people who are self-identifying, and then want to be recognized in that. And there's even some aspects of like, with how like Marcus is portrayed as this sort of like messianic figure. I think you could pull in some like liberation theology aspects into that, and there's like a lot of really interesting like bodies of work. So like I'm totally on board for that. I'm being a little cheeky for like I played the game in like under a very specific lens, and I need to replay the game again as sort of like a more normal playthrough, because I think I'm more on board with like I'm sympathetic to like the android's beliefs here. It was just interesting to sort of like take the perspective I did on the game. But yes, I totally don't anybody like slaughter me on the internet. I'm not like I got the theme of the game. don't call my place of work and
emails.
Get me fired.
I wouldn't think that you
no, okay.
Not at all.
No,
not
yeah,
at all,
you're
so.
good. You're good.
I am gonna dig my hole deeper. I think that just so I agree. I think first of all, you are interacting with this piece of art in a much more generous way than I am. I will give you that. You are interacting with the story that is meant to be told, and the story that they're telling. I do think that just because someone deserves liberation, and these androids deserve liberation, that's fine. I do not think that means that that their needs or like culture would be so close to humans.
It's fair.
That is what bothered me about the things that Marcus did that felt too human, like lighting a fire in the trash can, is because even if the AI were deserving of liberation and were like sentient sapient beings, I still do not think that will make them more necessarily human. Like I still think their needs and their wants and how they process information and how they go about the world is going to be fundamentally different. And so finding things like comfort from fire, like humans do that because we need to see and because it's cold, and like there's a lot of like physiological reasons that humans derive comfort from fire that robots deserving of, that these fictional robots deserving of equal treatment as they are, they just would not have the same physiological desires that we do.
Why is it that there are so many 12-hour fire crackling YouTubes out there? You're not getting any real warmth from that. It's a completely psychological comfort. And so they are in the dark, scared, alone, uncertain, and they are seeking that psychological comfort, and it gives them something to be drawn together.
Well, I was even going to say in like the context of the story, right? Like even if we're sort of like approaching from the idea that like they're emulating human emotions, right? Like I think the idea of like developing your own culture is like incredibly complicated. So I think you're just using what you sort of understand as a model, which is like they're androids. I mean, they're literally like physically designed to look like people. Because like Dempsey, to your point, right? Like the robots don't have to look like people. And in fact, like for a lot of the jobs they're doing, it would probably be better if they didn't look like people. So like, they do that in order to like but there's a lot of branches off of this, but like they designed robots to look like people so that they like assimilate into human culture better, and that's like a conversation that needs to be broached some other time. But like I think in that, them sort of emulating like, hey, this is like a human physiological need, let's start there. And I think like the sort of liberation that Marcus leads the androids through at least the end of some of the stories would be something like, hey, once we get our like basic civil liberties in place, like we can start to then explore like what does it actually mean to be an android. But I feel like there's not a lot of sci-fi stories that are sort of the next step in things. It feels like there's a lot of stories about like the onset of like intelligent robotics, but there's not a lot that's like the next step of like, okay, what does it look like for androids to sort of develop their own identity separate from people?
That's true.
I think Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells is a really good read to look at kind of like AI sentience from the perspective of an AI that isn't trying to be human. It's really interesting series, and there's a part as you go, like it makes Murderbot is the android's name. It makes friends with another bot, and their relationship is not like a human relationship, and the way that it interacts with the world is not like a human would. And it's really interesting if you're interested in that kind of thing. But
I would also say,
I think
oh, sorry, go Josh.
Dempsey, to your point about like, you know, how close to the edge of humanity are they going to take these robots, right? And the whole lighting of the fire thing, you know, and Katie, you made a great point about, you know, how psychological it, you know, provides warmth. I think for me, they got as close to the edge as they possibly could. If they would have went a little bit further, I probably would have thought the same thing. Like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And the thing that came to mind was if they got to the point where they were able to reproduce, you know, like,
yeah,
I would have been like, okay, no, this ain't. I would have been in the same boat. Like this is just too far now. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Josh, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Being that you had acting training, did you have a favorite performance? I had a favorite performance. Did you have a favorite performance?
What do you mean, like?
So, like,
in film or?
No, well, like in the game. So, like, I thought, Hanks, like Tom, whatever his name is, he plays Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob.
Really?
He plays Mr. He's the voice actor for Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. His performance, he really went for it. Like on all his scenes, locked in. Like he was so like there was no sense of like I'm gonna not do this well because it's a video game or like this is beneath me. Like he was like such a good. And the thing is, his acting was so good it tricked me because I was like, oh, he's a hard-boiled detective. He's gonna want me to sacrifice nothing but focus on the mission because that's all he cares about. And that's not Hank. Hank really wants human connection. And so like
you know his motivation, right? Or what happened to him, the reason why he has like because him and Connor were partners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what happened to did you find out what happened to him?
I knew his
out, but I can't remember.
All I know his son was killed at some point.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I never found that out.
But I never got any details because
was
me and him
killed by an android?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's either his son got killed by an android or the android was a cause of his death, and that's why he has such a chip on his shoulder for Connor.
Right.
Connor,
I think
Connor.
I lost Connor before I found that out.
Oh. But yeah, like I was going to be like, okay, this guy's like a hard-boiled, like knows the grind tone alcoholic detective that only cares about the case. I'm going to play Connor that way to like find camaraderie. But that's not what Hank wanted. Hank wanted to see humanity in Connor. And I really ruined me and Connor's or like Connor and Hank's relationship. But anyways, I think a lot of that is a testament to the acting ability of the actor that played Hank, Tom, Mr. Krabs, whatever his name is. Did you have a performance that you thought was like that really stood out?
Yeah, Hank did like when Hank got on the scene, I was just like, golly, you're considering so like when and I haven't acted in a long time. I mean, a long time, but this stuff stays with you because it's so rigorous, right?
Sure.
And even now, like I'll be watching a movie and me and my wife, and I'm like, oh, that's so good because just the nuance and like it's just so many things that I see that maybe a person doesn't see. And I think Hank did it really well. He had the motivation for why he was doing it and all the nuance and even during the conversations because there's just so many things to see. But I also think that the guy who plays the dad,
Todd.
is Todd. Yeah, the one who had Cara and Alice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he did a good job. And of course, I think his name is Leo. Was it Leo, the guy who had Marcus, the old guy,
Oh,
the
the
painter?
Carl.
Carl. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So I think their performances were, really, really well, really, really good. And I'm trying to think out of the three. Um, I think out of the three, I would say Kara. Like I know a lot of people when I was streaming was like, "Who's your favorite?" And I was like, "Kara. Kara's my favorite." But that isn't because she was a good actress, or a good actor. But my favorite was actually Connor
Mm.
because I think that Connor, to the point of like edging on them actually being robotic. I think
Sure.
Connor really,
Mhm.
he drove it home with that because he's like, okay, I'm underneath someone's authority, and these are the rules that I'm supposed to do, right? And he
Mhm.
executed, as being a person who negotiates with other androids. I think he did. I think out of all three, Connor was the best to really convince me that you're actually a robot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there's more that needs to be done with your character in order for you to become human. I think he had the best performance out of the three.
Mm. Yeah, that's really well said. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Do it.
I have a
Oh,
question real quick on
okay.
another
Yeah.
slight different note. Seth, you never went to Zlatko's house, did you? Because you didn't have Kara.
I have
Oh
no idea
my
who that is.
God.
Have you
Oh
guys
man.
read
Oh
The Most
Lord.
Dangerous Game?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
short story?
I,
Okay.
Yes.
I,
Tell me
I,
that this is not a
I,
direct allusion to The Most Dangerous
yo,
Game. I took it
Yeah.
as a very direct allusion to The Most Dangerous Game. It's a big old house. It's this
Yeah.
guy with the giant mute manservant. So in The Most Dangerous Game, you've got whatever the fuck his name is, and then he's got like Ivan or something,
I'm gonna
who's
Google if I'm
his
right.
yeah. Um who's been saved from like circumstances. He's like, yeah, I saved Luther when Luther was in trouble or whatever. And like the good guy in The Most Dangerous Game is shipwrecked. Kara and Alice are basically shipwrecked. He offers them help. That's what happens in the story. And then it turns out that he's actually the predator and they have to try to escape and they have to fight to get out. Like it's like beat for beat. It's crazy.
but it's too yeah, it's definitely that. It's also it also reminded me because I saw the Most Dangerous Game. I saw the classic movie. Like I think
Oh,
there was a
right.
Criterion collection, or there was an
Mhm.
old movie about it, and I remember seeing
Yeah.
that. But it also reminded me of The Last of Us. That one part where they came across the cannibals.
Oh, sure.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
you're like unsuspecting about what's going on, and then
Mhm.
the truth is
Ends up
revealed
St.
that
Stephen. Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
So
and I was like, this is creepy. Like, I didn't trust it. I was concerned. And then that was the one part that I replayed is when she gets all hung up in the apparatus. Um, I could
oh
never
yeah.
do the quick time fast enough to prevent the memory wipe. And I was like, oh my God, she's wiped the memory. I'm fucked. Like, oh, I tried it 3 times, couldn't do it different. And then I thought, well, I guess there wasn't another option with that when you can't do it. And so
Yeah, you
I
can't.
I made it through. I think you can because I got to the end of the level and I saw at the point where I get my memory wiped, where Kara gets her memory wiped. I like really put myself in this game as you can tell. When Kara gets her memory wiped, um at that exact same point there's two other branches. So there's two other ways it could have gone.
Well, and
Hmm.
Katie, before we just move on,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
Most Dangerous Game main character is Zaroff, of which our character is
Zaroff.
Okay.
Zlatko.
Zlatko, exactly.
And Zaroff
Yeah.
is a Russian aristocrat, and Zlatko is
Yes.
obviously like a Russian name as
Yes,
well.
and the
so
house is big and stately and fancy, and they
Yeah.
have.
it's a pretty
they
good
spare no
illusion, even if
expense.
it's, I guess,
I
not
am
intended.
Katie. It makes me so happy that you enjoyed that because it was a low point of the game for me.
Oh no, because
I was like,
I teach the Most Dangerous Game every year, and I had just taught it, and I was like, oh my god, I've read
'Cause
this.
as soon as the door opens, you know exactly what's going to happen. As soon as the door opens, you know exactly what's going to happen. And then it does my least favorite thing, which is to make like a dramatic decision and then the chicken out of it 5 minutes later. And that's when she loses her memory. When she loses her memory and then she gets her memory back right away. And I was like, that's dumb. It would have been cooler, in my opinion, if she lost her memory but was still a good person and still rescued her because that's what good people do. So even though it wasn't these specific experiences, she still recognized that it's a little girl and there's still like some inherent humanity in her decisions.
So
But
what
they
I'm hearing
chickened out.
from you,
They
Dempsey,
chickened out. A big dramatic moment, and then they pulled any dramatic tension from and consequences and narrative themes that could have come from that moment, like in 5 minutes later. I hated that whole
what
sequence.
I'm hearing from you,
You could
Dempsey, is
take
you
it out of the
wanted this-
game, and the narrative would be exactly the same.
You wanted this to be a 36-hour game, but it's only about a 15-hour game. That's what I'm hearing from you.
8 for me.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. When you were saying that, I was like, man, that would have been a long
haul.
Long haul, yeah.
Would have added many hours. We would have needed many hours to show a more subtle bias against robots and a lot more hours to show.
No. Okay. So my issue is it's not that it's this quick and effective and cheesy. It's that it was kind of quick and effective and cheesy, and then also like there was also like a dad that's beating his daughter, and I just felt like it would have been
drugs.
Yeah, he was like doing meth, and you find his meth
job.
Anyways,
because of androids, and
the
his wife
tone
left
felt
him. So like there was
the
a
tone
lot
felt weird
in his character that I think was supposed to show like the dark side of it for some people. Like he lost his job because of androids. He was doing drugs because people do drugs when they're not happy, sometimes. And like get into this worse and worse and worse situation, and there was no social safety net to help him. Just like there's no social safety net for the androids.
Yeah, I felt that too. When I saw it, I was just like, yeah, that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, because I work in nonprofit, there's stories about what people do, So for me, it was just like, I was actually, this is gonna sound weird, right? I actually liked the direction they went with that scene with the father, because I was like, don't play it safe.
Sure.
Like, don't pop out, in the scene with Kara. For me, it was like, if you're going to do it all the way, right? And it was just really raw. And I was like, I was appreciative that they took it in that direction, because, they didn't necessarily, I think any other game probably would have been like, nah, it's too much. We can't do that. But I'm like, yes. I'm not like, yes, beat the girl.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm like,
child abuse.
Yeah, not right. I'm not like that. But I'm just like, yes, because this stuff is real. It happens, and I'm hoping that when people play it, it motivates them to, kind of make the choices.
I think it does also make parallels just to the fact that, I mean, if the androids are the most vulnerable people, right? Because they aren't necessarily afforded the same, well, they aren't in this situation. They are not afforded the same rights and protections as humans. Well, women and children aren't either. So it's a pretty realistic parallel.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Wow, yeah. They hit on a lot of those.
Yeah.
Do we want to do our final thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say my final thoughts first. I think
Shocking.
I think I had there were some issues with tone, there were some issues with the script in my opinion. I thought a lot of it was really good. I am really excited to see what they do next. They are making a Star Wars game, which is a really interesting direction. So they're next. So
Oh, is it the one with the girl?
I have no
No.
idea.
No,
Do you know what I'm
EA
talking about?
I think EA is making that. I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
No.
Ubisoft
EA
is.
making that. Ubisoft made Ubisoft. That's it. Because EA made the other one. Yeah, Ubisoft. You're right.
Yeah, Ubisoft is making one with the girl. But no, so they're making their own. It looks very artsy. The trailer looks like the best thing Star Wars has ever made, actually. The trailer's great. It has like Dune vibes, like a lot of Dune vibes. Anyways, so I think this game is absolutely worth playing. I'm going to go back to it and try to fix my relationship with Connor and Hank. I do think that if you think this stuff is interesting, read Becky Chambers and Martha Wells, and Citizen Sleeper is also very good.
Yes, that's a game. Really good.
So yeah, Citizen Sleeper is a game. But yeah, it was definitely like, I'm really glad that Sony like put this on their system, and like it's a very beautiful experience. Do not be intimidated by the fact that it's one big QuickTime event. And it used that mechanic so well. Okay, one more criticism and then I'll shut up. So there is a game called Florence, which I talk about probably like every episode. But Florence is like a visual novel. And I think I would have appreciated... So if you play Florence, you know that like there are also it's very linear, very structured. You're not controlling a character. It's almost QuickTimey-esque kind of sort of. And the way you interact with the world though is a lot more creative and intuitive in the world. Like this game is a lot about just like pressing buttons, and I don't think that's a horrible thing. I think it really works. And I think doing something more innovative in a game like this would be extraordinarily difficult. But I'm hoping in the Star Wars game, they might introduce, instead of just like pressing a button to do something that feels a little bit more organic to the world.
Did you play this on the PlayStation, or what did you play it on, Dempsey?
I played it on I played it on my PS5, yeah.
Okay. I felt like the way they use the controller, and I played on PS4, so I used the DualSense 2 or whatever it is. Whatever the one is for the PS4. And
sure.
It had me use like the touchpad on it. It had me use like, I had to do the
Same.
sticks. I had to do the this and the that and the everything. And I thought it never got samey to me personally.
Okay.
But I also really like QuickTime. Like I'm a big fan of Tomb Raider, big fan of QuickTime events. So I thought it was only a plus for me.
Anyways, that's my final thoughts. Great game. Play it if you'd have a chance. It's definitely worth it. It's very good.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be to you all. What did because this is a podcast about like what video games can teach us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear, what do you all think that this game taught? Or is there anything that you think could be learned, from you all playing this game?
So I have an answer that, well, I was gonna say it's whatever, but I think this game has really good direction, and I happen to direct for a living, and like there are a lot of like ways it paces things, and like even like just the reverse shots are way more interesting than even some movies. Like there are a lot of just like filmmaking. Like if you are a filmmaker or interested in movies, I think this game is an experience worthwhile. So as someone who filmmakes and directs for a living, I'm very happy I played this and felt like I learned a lot. It also taught me a lot more about how agency affects video games. and how to emotionally, because I think a lot of times video games are like sensory experiences first and foremost. Like in Elden Ring, it's your quick reflexes, it's the sound of the boss, it's like the visuals of a big sword and things like that. And here it's a lot like more purely emotional and purely narrative in a way that like even games I love aren't, like Celeste or whatever. Like Celeste is like a sensory experience and it's about fast reflexes and things like that. But yeah, this like how player agency impacts narrative. I don't think I've ever experienced anything that goes as deep into that conversation as this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me as well, like I'm a writer and I love sci-fi. I love to read sci-fi. I like to write about sci-fi, and it's inspiring to me to explore those kinds of ideas in my own writing as well. I think it's really interesting to look at it structurally, the way that the 3 different stories were handled, the different sort of plot devices that are used for the 3 different stories, the different like plot structures that you can kind of identify. Which I find, I'm an English teacher, so I love that kind of stuff. Like
Katie actively taught me about the heroine's journey, and I'm always gonna remember Marcus's journey for being the heroine's journey.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. I think, and I love that they were able to put those 2 different kind of archetypal stories into the same story and make it work. I thought that was really cool. And I think it also, I just really love thinking about like what makes people and looking at society and the way that we intentionally and unintentionally dehumanize others, so that society can work the way that we would like it to. And so I think that that's just a really valuable thing to spend time thinking about. And I think that that's what this game did for sure. How about you, Seth?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one for me. I think a lot of the teaching for me comes out of, to sort of mimic what Katie said, the structure of this game. It was very interesting to look at it as sort of a less of a game and more as a sort of like video choose your own story kind of adventure, because that's really what it felt like. A lot of the intersections of the game was like, okay, I'm like gonna try and figure out what's next, and sort of like character decisions get dictated that way. And a choose your own adventure story is like a difficult thing to put in a book, despite the fact that there's millions of them, and it works really well for a game. And I think sort of some of that structural breakdown helps to reinforce like why games are valuable as a media, or as a medium.
Yeah, this story would not work as well in any other. Like if this was just a movie, a lot of the meaning would be lost.
Right. And I think especially like this conversation that we're able to have right now, where like we each made individual decisions and we had different outcomes, sometimes like very drastically, like I missed a whole plot line, or it sort of sounds like Katie and Josh, you had sort of like similar stories, but with like some differences in some spaces. And I think that facilitates a lot of like very interesting conversation about the game. And I think like the different ways that we went into it resulted in different experiences, and like being able to explore like, hey, how does a different mindset result in a different experience, and get that like very obvious distinction is something I've talked about that I really value games are able to do, is provide like that instantaneous feedback on something that's usually like a long-term feedback in our lives, or something that's a little less direct.
Yeah.
I also think it taught me a lot about, so Katie writes, I write as well. I write screenplays. So I think a lot in terms of action, like what the character is actually doing. There's a lot less space for an inner life for your characters, because everything that's inside has to be visual. And like your characters are people insofar as the actions they are the actions that they choose. And this is a game that is so interesting because like your characters end up becoming different people by choosing different things. Like the version of Connor that never questions his programming, that is a different character because he made different choices than the version of Connor that self-actualizes. And like that they are, and because because all a character obviously characters are fictional and don't exist in real life, like all they ever can be are the choices that they make. And this game like really showcases that in a way that internalized it for me like very deeply. Like these are very different characters, even though they start at the same place, depending on the choices they make. They're not the same people.
And we've all had such different experiences, but every single outcome is like a valid experience. It was the way that it could have gone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
How about you, Josh?
That's why when I was playing it, so I was playing this on stream. Katie came in to the stream, and I was like, Katie, I can see you all having a conversation about this. Not necessarily, I mean, I think we dove into a lot of perspectives, about the way we see it coming into it. But it's, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you guys. I think I'm learning a lot through this conversation. Like the things that I learned from the games, some of the stuff that I already expressed. But it goes back to, like, I made a post on TikTok to talk about, like, my perception of Elden Ring, right? Like when I first played it, I was like, oh, this sucks. I have no time for this, But the crazy part about it, so when I graduated and got my master's degree and I had time for it, I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Elden Ring didn't change, right? The video games that we played, they don't change. They're the same. But I think that it's funny how we give power, or I can't think of the word for it. How we give power and how we shape things or perceive things that really exist in a certain way towards our own way of thinking, and sort of like what Seth was saying. So and I think that's a point that a lot of gamers really need to know. Like they just like, does the game really suck, or is it you're in a particular place in your life right now where you just can't see things, or you're not having conversations like these to actually bring out, like, oh yeah, well, it did do this well. There were stories told and decisions. Like I love what you were saying about how the decisions create the characters, and that's one of the things that I loved about this game. It was like things could happen at any way, right? Or in any way, and that's one of the things that I like about Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate 3, 2 as in T, but
as well.
Right. It's just that I'm like, yo, this story could unfold in so many different ways, because you have to make decisions that really impact the story and your relationship with people. So I just love games like that.
Definitely. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming on the show. I've been looking forward to this forever. So super glad we got to do this.
Awesome.
I'm so glad that that you guys played as well, Dempsey and Seth, so that we could all talk together. It really, I think, made for a really great conversation.
Yeah, this was initially Katie's idea.
Well, I think it was initially Josh's idea, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do that."
Oh, well, Josh was the one, or Katie was the one that bullied me and Seth into playing it.
I did bully, and then I didn't let him get his hot takes out before we did this. So you're welcome, listeners, for our 2-hour episode.
Are you guys like? I hope that you all keep all of this in, right? And just because you guys aren't really locked into like a 1 hour.
No. Okay. This is going to be a 2-hour episode.
Nice.
So, thank you so much for listening. This has been Overthinking Games, a podcast about what video games can teach us. Before we go, Josh, would you like to just plug your stuff again real quick, where we can find all your things?
Sure. Joshua from the Gamers Drink. Well, I am the Gamers Drink. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm not on Twitter. I think I may have said Twitter earlier, but I don't know. I don't remember. But I'm not on Twitter. So yeah, it's at the Gamers Drink. on any of those platforms. Just type in The Gamers Drink, one word, and you'll find all my content. A lot of people love my voice. I also have a new page, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do have a new page because a lot of people were talking about like I could do voice acting. And I'm really kind of thinking about that, right? Like trying to find ways where I can do that. And using the second page called Mr. Jabs Reads, one word, MRJABSREADS. And I'm starting off reading scary stories to tell in the dark. So I'm making a separate page because a lot of people are like, hey, the voice, love the voice. And I think you can do some things with that. But yeah, those are all my handles. Thank you all so much for having me. Yeah, that's it.
It's been our pleasure for sure. So catch us next time. If you want to send us an email about your hot takes about Detroit Become Human, you can send us an email. It's in the show notes. Otherwise, you can find us on TikTok, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Bye.
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 Bye.